Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first unit, which is biochemistry, and the subtopic being water. So, this series parallels the AP curriculum, the AP biology curriculum, um, which I believe has water as its first subtopic and biochemistry as its first unit. Um, so, that being said, I assume that you have already, had an AP level understanding of biochemistry, and we are going to build on that and sort of look into it at a deeper level. So in AP Bio, we learned these several properties of water that facilitated life on Earth. Take a moment to pause and think about them, kind of refresh your mind about them. Yeah, and we're going to look at some more advanced, I guess, properties of water that makes life on Earth possible. So before we go into that, let's look at entropy. Um, I'm not a physics textbook, so I cannot like pull up the exact definition of entropy from my mind, but just loosely, vaguely, intuitively understand it as um, a measure of randomness or disorder in a system. And something else that you have to know is that the universe always favors a net, or I guess maybe not the universe, maybe it's the system, but anyways, like it favors a net increasing entropy overall. I remember it's like one of Newton's laws of thermodynamics, but I can't remember which one it is exactly. Um, yeah, so just to give you an example, picture yourself playing Lego, right? When you sort of dump all the Lego pieces from the package onto the ground, the scattered Lego pieces contributes to a positive change of entropy. That being said, it means it increases the entropy of the system. But as you assemble the pieces together, or like as you start to construct a certain structure out of them, you're decreasing their entropy. And decreasing their entropy requires energy, right? So this is how, I mean, you're using your energy in this process to construct Lego pieces. So let's look at how this pertains to water. Water molecules, if there's nothing added to them, they roam around freely and they are in this random arrangement while having hydrogen bonds, um, you know, hydrogen bond interactions between water molecules. However, if you add phospholipid, to them, then they will not be, you know, interacting much with the hydrophobic tails of the phospholipid. Because of that, because of the hydrophobicity of the tail and the hydrophilicity of the water molecules, they sort of form a cage-like structure around the tail, which is ordered. And this decreases the entropy of the system. So if we zoom out a bit and look at this image with more phospholipids, you'll see that there are multiple cages of water molecules that are highly ordered, thus decreasing the entropy of the system. And since nature favors an increasing entropy, these molecules have to sort of like figure out a way to resolve this. And you might like catch me saying that molecules want to do something, or atoms want to do something, cells want to do something. Just keep in mind that they don't have consciousness. They are sort of just following the laws of nature. They are not like deciding to do something. I'm sort of personifying them a bit, just to help you figure out like things better, or maybe it's just my own habit. I don't know. Anyways, they cluster around together to decrease the surface area that is in contact with water molecules. So before then, you can see that all of these water molecules, like they are surrounding the hydrophobic tails at all angles, right? But here, the interior of this structure is like sequestered from the water molecules. So water molecules won't have access to there. So that by that, I mean that there will be a less number of ordered water ordered water molecules in this picture than in this picture. Moving on, so taking this a step forward, the phospholipids will form a structure called micelles, and this structure will completely sequester all hydrophobic tails from water. So this really sort of restores the entropy of the system, and there's no more ordered water molecules, which means that there's more entropy. There's a positive changing entropy. And this also accounts for the hydrophobic interaction of protein folding, right? So when a protein is folding, the hydrophobic groups are sequestered inside them. With the principle of entropy still in our mind, let's look at another application of it. So water molecules actually favors enzyme substrate complex formation. Substrate and enzymes in in aqueous environments, they are actually interacting with a lot of water molecules, and just like phospholipids here, they are sort of decreasing the entropy of the system. But when a substrate and enzyme interact with each other, they displace water molecules that were like they displace a certain amount of water molecules that were interacting with them, and causing them to be free and disordered, thus increasing the entropy of the system. So because nature favors an increasing entropy, this enzyme substrate complex formation is also favored. Another thing that water contributes, before we talk about that, let's first look at this diagram and remind ourselves of the process that it represents. So what is this process? Take a moment to think about it and pause. All right, hopefully you've got it. We see that this is a thylakoid space and this is the stroma, which hints that this process happens in the chloroplast. Very likely to be photosynthesis. And it is photosynthesis, in fact. But we won't talk about photosynthesis in detail today. We will talk about, however, a protein or a cytochrome complex that is involved in photosynthesis and how it works with water. So some proteins actually need water to function. So if we zoom in a bit on this cytochrome complex, we see that certain groups of this protein is interacting with 5 water molecules. And the cytochrome complex, its role in photosynthesis is to transfer protons or hydronium ions across the thylakoid membrane. And this process is believed to be done via proton hopping, and that requires a sequence of water molecules. So the protein is working with water molecules to achieve that. What exactly is proton hopping? Well, as you can see on this diagram, proton hopping occurs where a hydronium ion gives up a proton, and this proton binds to another water molecule, in which one of its original one of its original hydrogen atom um, binds to the next water molecule, in which one of its hydrogen atoms binds to another water molecule next to it, and so on and so forth until you reach an end where a water molecule accepts a proton and becomes a hydronium ion. So the hydronium ion in this case, it's not the original one that's being moved across. It's actually, this relay of protons that ultimately leads to a water molecule at the receiving end to become a hydronium ion.